Hello and welcome along to another end of season review from this FM22 One Club story with Hemel Hempstead Town with me, Daniel. It's part 27 of the Tudor Times today, and we are back to reflect on a crazy season 3, which ended in the most dramatic of circumstances. I've started on this screen to avoid any spoilers. If you've missed the last week or so of episodes, then please do click in the eye above to catch up, because it has been insanity. And we're left in a position here where we've got a lot to discuss in our end of season review. We're also starting on the contract screen just so I can show you we've got another deal for next year. We are still under contract, which is a crucial part of this save. If you're looking forward to finding out what we've got in store for the end of this season, as well as our plans for next summer, our transfer plans, and what we're looking to do in our 4th year at Hemel Hempstead, please do chuck a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe down below for daily FM22 content from 2 long-term stories. But a massive thank you for your incredible support as always, as we reflect on probably one of the most dramatic seasons I've ever had in FM. Certainly some of the most euphoric highs and bitterly disappointing lows. Tactical experiments that have gone wrong, drama down to the wire on the final day of the season, and I'm afraid if you haven't switched over and caught up yet, you are about to get some spoilers, because we somehow finished the season like this. In 7th place, playing 6th place Wrexham in the National League playoff final, and we came out on top. We basically FM'd Newport in the semi-final. David Gregory in goal made 13 saves. It was backs to the wall and the keeper delivered again. In the final, we were simply sublime and should have won it in 90, not 120. There's a little bit of a factual error on the manager performance screen. Says delighted to have won the National League. We definitely didn't do that. We couldn't have been much further away if we tried. But to be honest, the disappointment of the Cups, the fact that we had a poor start to the season, the fact that after 10 or 11 games, that episode against Swindon, we were just level on points with the relegation zone. We were out of it on goal difference. And in the second of that episode, we played Southend. We somehow battered them 4-0 on the road. We don't even know to this day how to explain it. I'm sure none of you guys who were watching could explain it. Most of you in the comments struggled to get any idea as to how it happened. But it led this remarkable revival, using our old tactic, using largely our old tried and trusted players, with a few little sensible additions through the year, little nuggets of experience, little young hungry players ready to succeed. We snuck in on the final day, but it wasn't as simple as that. We lost 3-0 at Bromley, the runners up in the league. An Aldershot, a late equaliser conceded at Eastleigh, and they dropped out on goals scored. It was just nuts. What a season. We're going to be going professional surely in about 6 weeks' time for the EFL. We are probably going to be moving ground because I'm sure Vauxhall Road isn't ready for it. But in the meantime, we're going to look at our season review, and we're probably not going to see a huge amount off the pitch this year in terms of features and things I've been using, because we're going to have to focus so much on the summer plans and what we want to do with this squad to try and stay up in League 2, because we've reached it 2 years ahead of schedule. We'll be back in a minute for the season review, and then we'll reflect on all the rest as well. Well, here we go. Confirmation we did not win the National League, and there isn't a trophy there. But there is a promotion, and that means everything to this football club. Look at the signings that came in this year, and a lot of them made a real difference. Hewitt at right back, a physical presence, made a big difference. Barkers didn't really play a huge amount of football, but became a superstar at the playoffs. It's incredible. Lewis Brunt was brilliant when he came in, another late arrival after that poor early start. Mauro Bandera, an excellent pro, is going to continue to improve. Jaden Wareham, big shout out to him. We had that transfer disaster where we blew money on Cargbo, and he just didn't deliver. He was 6'6". He was perfect for the role. Just didn't work. Wareham came in, was unbelievable. Produced goals, nearly 1 per start, and crucial winners as well. What a player he was. Agbas on the left wing, we've tied down for another year. He's fantastic. Fernandez from Farnborough, got to say, he stepped up pretty well. Ellis Harrison, late addition, scored a penalty winner. I know he missed one in the final, but he scored a penalty winner against Havant and Waterlooville, and every win and every point, as you saw, was crucial. Cargbo was a disaster, proving we all get some wrong, and Ryan Joseph has literally joined the club today. He's my first summer signing, and I'm not showing you him just yet. Transfers out, it was a difficult season. Mantum left after starting as first choice. The last of the thumbnail cover stars, the skipper, the experienced leader in the dressing room. And you can actually see the changing of the guard. All the players that went out, 26, 29, 31, 32. It was a changing of the guard. It was experience leaving and a philosophy of young hungry players who wanted to prove themselves, and that's where we are at the moment. In terms of loans, Brian Moore went to Bath after a pretty catastrophic start with us. He did okay there, to be honest, and I think he's going to be part of the squad next season unless we can get in a very good centre-back. In terms of the season results, the average attendance 1,500, Victor Sedende 35 goals, just a machine that man, and what a finish in the playoffs. Defensively, we seem to find our mojo. Not many draws this season, which was the complete opposite problem to last year, but enough wins to match up with the defeats. In fact, we lost more games than anyone else in the top 9, but Aldershot blew it, and we're happy enough with that. That biggest win was the turning point this season. The Southend game was the one where I believed. The Wrexham draw away from home, I'm not sure why that's the match to remember. It was right at the start. Maybe it's one of the only games we got a point in the first month, so I guess we have to live with it. Paul Mullin obviously went off to my beloved Luton Town. Sedende became a superstar all season. And goal of the season was in another crucial game. Lewis Brunt's first for the club, and we saw it live on camera. It was an absolute rocket to win us the game at Swindon. Lewis Brunt a hero. The finances, again, we've run at break even, and if anything, a little bit of a profit. We've gone up to 1.5-star reputation as a club, which will surely help us out. And going into next season in League 2, that might attract slightly better players. In terms of the best 11, I can't argue with much in there. That third spot in centre mid was up for grabs. Surely it should have been Lewis Brunt, really, based on his form, but we can't argue with any of them. And to be honest, the only big loss is going to be Marsh Brown. Has performed above his ability for so long, but obviously got that massive injury towards the end of the season. And he is going to be leaving the club now because we can't afford to carry people for 9 months. There is no room for sentiment in this save. Let's move on to the accolades, see who got the best ofs this season. Are there going to be any stars there? Cole Kopekwa, fans player of the season. Sedende, young player. Dylan Barker signing. It was crucial towards the end. Turner popping up with assists. That change of role really worked for him this year. And Sedende again, his league goal scoring record was a new record for the club. Elliot Hewitt got a red card, which I'm not particularly happy about. I pride myself on not getting many cards. But it was still a history-making year. We cannot have a complaint. So Ryan Joseph, the first signing of the summer, we'll look at him in our transfer special next time. But he's that early work of the trialist coming out. Did lots of that work in season 1. Weren't able to do it so much last year. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he can produce. Let's have a look at the rest of the post-season information. The overall best 11, you would expect a few to be put in. Matthew Carson overtakes Fraser Shaw overall, and Oliver Turner gets onto the bench. The season review we've just seen was fantastic. And we've got our end of season performance analyst report. We talked about that last year. You can go back and check it out if you want to. But generally, this is where I get a lot of my information ahead of the summer. Now, it's sort of what tempted me into a back three at the start of this season, so can't say it always works. But I ignored my own advice. If you go back to my Data Hub special, the first thing I said was don't make all your changes at once. And I panicked and I did that. And as soon as we went back to the tried and trusted, we gradually started to improve. I will just say out of interest, because I have had a brief look at these stats, the one thing that does make me laugh this year is our goals per game is above our expected goals per game. That is the first season in any save where that's happened this year. I'm delighted with that. So that's really good. And actually, you could say the expected conceded goals is slightly lower than what we've actually conceded. But I'm really pleased that we're making progress on that front. And Victor Sedende, to be fair to him, is becoming an absolute monster. We're getting offers for a few players already. The likes of Senga has got one there. What I'm really interested in is what stadium we're going to be playing at next year. Because there's already been a few things over the years mentioning the likes of we're not able to improve the ground or the facilities because the council are stepping in and stopping it. So I'm intrigued to see if that happens again here. So interestingly, Victor Sedende didn't even win our player of the season. The fans gave it to Cole Kopekwa, but he won the one for the whole league. I mean, that tells you everything you need to know, doesn't it? Fantastic stuff. We're shortlisted for the manager award as well, which is great. But the one thing I want to show you on the way to our plans is the scouting, because that is obviously going to be crucial this summer with the changes we're making. So I've not got anything massive or exciting or over the top in place. We do keep an eye on the regular reports and all of that. The one thing I really do put in place, though, is the emphasis on youngsters, because at this club, our long-term strategy must be to bring in young players, play them, sell them for a profit. So that's why our general scouting, the only changes are match all the transfer objectives, and then I changed the age range to 15 to 24. Now, if we have a real panic, say we've got everyone at the start of August bar a left back, and that's what we're going to need, then I'll go and do the priority or just focus on that position. But generally, I want to leave it as open as possible, because although we've got weaknesses in the squad, so like a lot of the second season we said we're going to need a right back in the summer, but equally I don't want to stop us getting a brilliant centre midfielder that we didn't need, like Lewis Brunt, because that enhanced the squad and ultimately led us to promotion. So I try and keep it as general as possible, because I know you're desperate to fix a problem in one area, but I don't want to restrict the other 10 positions improving, because no team's ever perfect and this is the way to do it. But for now, we've gone up against the odds. We'll see what that delivers for us. We've got one youngster already from Tottenham who was released at the end of his contract. We've got a few more getting scouted at the moment. If I show you the assignments, we've got an 18-year-old from City getting looked at, a 21-year-old from Farnborough, the same club, if you remember, that we managed to get Fernandes from. But look at Davies' stats. He was someone that was popped up to us because of his performance. 17 assists, 6 goals in 46 games, and a natural centre midfielder. His attributes look pretty similar to Turner, and Turner is very much wanted. There's a lot of interest in him. So if we can get a 60, 70, 80 grand offer for Oliver Turner from a Football League club, and then getting Teddy Davie doing the same job for free, we have to do that. We have to make a profit. You can see a couple of other lads we've got on trial now, including one very experienced name. But that is basically our philosophy. It's nothing that's reinventing the wheel. It's nothing that is rocket science or that doesn't make sense. But it's a very simplified version of what I scout for. I've seen lots of people who set up ridiculous scout reports, but then you only end up restricting the improvement of other areas of your team. So when you're a massive club and you can do 10 individual scouting focuses, great. Here, we've got 2 part-time scouts, and that's the way we have to work. Find good players, and if we can improve, great. With that, though, let's get on to the squad and the plans for next season. Afterwards, I will just skip ahead a week or so, because I want to know where we're going to be playing next year, because I'm so sure it can't be Vauxhall Road. And this is the squad we've got at the moment. So I'll just highlight all the players that are out of contract or on trial or whatever, because they're ones that won't necessarily be here. Gregory and Marsden, I'm pretty happy with. There's a risk, obviously, you can see Marsden's wanted, that we don't want a second keeper on non-contract terms. I also don't know how it's going to work with when we turn professional in mid-June. Are we going to be able to offer all these players new contracts straight away? Are they going to sign for similar money? Are they going to be asking for us to break the bank, which we can't do? Our wage budget only gives us an extra 900 quid next year. If we want to improve the squad, we can't offer big pay rises. I'm always cautious when I do transfer deals. I take out the promotion wage rise clause and the relegation one every time. I want us to work within a budget, and I want the lads to be on a wage that's stable for them. It builds their confidence, it helps us financially, and it means you don't have this shock of the wage bill going up 2 or 3 grand every time you get promoted. So that's where we are defensively. The 2 keepers I'm happy with, but I think we're going to need a new backup. Gregory will do a job for me in League 2. In fact, let's get them in terms of report order. He's a 3-star keeper. I think he'll be alright. And certainly he deserves his chance after the Newport game. In terms of defence, we've got Brian Waugh coming back from loan. So let me just show him very quickly. We'll get the players that aren't at the club in as well. So Brian Waugh is actually rated better than Harbottle and Senga here. But I'm not convinced by him. And he's not as big. He's not as physically imposing. Capek was a starter for us. We know that. But with the other 3, we've got decent defenders. What I'd really like is someone that's great and physically imposing to go alongside Capekwa. If not, we'll probably give Harbottle another chance because he's got massive potential, as have the other 2. In terms of right back, Elliot Hewitt's excellent. Simpson will definitely be gone. We're going to need a backup right back. So let's clear this and we'll put in the positions we're going to need a player. So if we go to Aaron Simpson, we're going to need to replace him as sub 2. Carson is definitely going to start as our left back. In terms of backup, we don't have one because we released Mead and used Aguas as a utility man. So we are going to need a sub 3, a backup left back. You can see in terms of the right back, we're looking at someone on trial already who would be a big improvement. And I do want to focus on adding a little bit of EFL experience this summer. It worked really well with Ellis Harrison. If we can get a couple more on 1-year deals like Danassian, I think we might be able to succeed next year. It might give us a better chance of staying up. Just those players that know how to react in relegation scraps, which we're inevitably going to be in. In terms of holding midfield, Barkers has come to the party now, so as long as him and Senga and the like sign a new deal, they'll be here for next year. Same as Oshieng, both of them out of contract at the minute. So nothing needed there, but if a star player does pop up, of course, we'll consider them. Brunt and Turner are sublime in the middle. I want to sign Davey, who I think is going to be really good. It's just whether Turner's poached by somebody else or not, and we get a good enough offer. We've got Bandera and Brook behind them. So again, unless someone like Brunt comes along who's brilliant, or if Davey is that good, we don't need to improve the position, but we'll consider it if the right offers come in. In terms of the wingers, we've of course got Marsh Brown, who's out injured. He's going to be leaving the club because we can't wait for him. He's declining physically, which were his greatest attributes, and he's still got 5 months out, which takes him up to the middle of October. We can't afford to be without him for that. So Marsh Brown will be replaced on the right. Of course, James Dobson will be replaced on the left. And up front, I know we've got quality. If we can get one more, we'll take it. But for now, Sedende plays there. Wareham plays there if we need it. And I'm even thinking Harrison as a second striker, Wareham as the third choice, and then maybe another new right winger. But that will depend on what we're able to sign. And in fact, if you look at the left wing with Dobson, we might not need to do that, as I've forgotten to put in we need a backup keeper. Because Ryan Joseph joins now, we've still got a very good one in Aguas staying next year. So maybe we don't need to do that. Shall I write that position off? It's not my priority. But if we can get bits done, then great. What I'm actually saying is the first 11 I'm pretty happy with. We've got 4 players or positions in the squad I feel we need to improve. And if we can get 1 or 2 more bits of gold dust on top of that, great. So, again, a bit like when we came up from the National League South, the focus is on momentum. We've just finished the season in cracking style. We're going to turn professional. If we can get these young lads on full-time contracts, they will improve really quickly. I've no doubt of that. So what I want to do is focus on improving the coaching team, the scouting team, expanding our budget on that side of things. Because good coaches with these youngsters, I think, is the best possible outcome. So that's what we're going to focus our efforts on this season. A restricted squad update, not breaking the bank financially, because we've got to remember, look, we might come back down. There is an opportunity. We finished 7th in the National League. We haven't flown at any point. It's the highest finish of our history, and it's 7th. We didn't batter teams consistently. We just performed on the big stage, which is great. But it doesn't fill me with confidence that we're going to run away from League 2 teams, however small the gap may have become over the years. So I want to be a little bit more cautious this year, and then a bit like the National League. If the second season we've stayed up, we've got a little bit more of a budget increase, our facilities are in a good nick, we've sold 1 or 2 big names, then we go for it. That's what I think ahead of the summer though. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Now what we're going to do before we finish off is go and skip ahead a week, and I just want to see if we find out where we're playing next year, and if we know anything about our professional status. I'll be back in a minute. Big news, and even more excitement for me as a Luton fan. It's not particularly local, which isn't great news for those who obviously want to be involved and come and watch every week. But we are renting Kenilworth Road. Now, a couple of questions to ask on this. From a club point of view, what is the cost? Renting costs money, and Kenilworth Road is a much bigger stadium. We haven't got a lot of money to give away, and I don't want it going down the drain to pay for a stadium, which is, let's be honest, quite old-fashioned and not great anyway, and miles away from Hemel Hempstead. There are a few more bizarre goings-on in the last week or so, though. Most recently, we did win Manager of the Year, which is a lovely thing for us. I'm not quite sure, if we have a look at this profile screen here, why I've changed race and got a massive mohawk, but it is what it is. Let me just go back to the profile screen. I'm not complaining, I look quite stylish there, but still, that's what I actually look like. That one's a little bit more reserved. Even when you go to it there, you go back to your old face that you've selected. Unless that's maybe the chairman. Is it Greg Wilson perhaps? But it's under a picture that says my name, so I'm not quite sure. But if it is a glitch, it's a small one in the grand scheme of things. And if anything, I've just got far more stylish. So no complaints from me. Let's go back and have a look at what the board's been suggesting. Because rather frustratingly and worrying, given the time of the year we're at and the improvements we want to make for League 2, there's takeover talk again. Now, we've already had a takeover in the first season. We've run at a profit. We're looking really good. So why do they want to go again? And if it's going to be a consortium too, this is where you start to risk your job. You've got completely different owners. It's not a local person taking over. It's not one of the directors. This is completely new ownership. I'm concerned about that. I hope it doesn't rear its head during the summer transfer window. Because we're in the EFL now, we're in the big time. We've only got till the end of August to get deals done. We have also had a weird situation with contracts. If I go and have a look at them here. So a few of the players we talked about getting tied down to new deals in the last part of the episode. So Oshieng being one, Senga at the back, and also Barker's in centre midfield. Now we've got them tied down, which is fine. I've had to do it to part-time deals because we've had no news about professional. I'm guessing it won't happen till the end of June when the season ticks over. But they've all taken massive pay cuts. Ochieng was on 425 a week and he came in to start negotiation at 300. I said, what on earth is going on? In the end, he's taken 275. The same for Senga, who's gone from 275 to 190. Barker's took a 10 quid pay cut. I just found it a little bit confusing, but everyone we wanted is tied down. Everyone's well under our wage structure, where Capek was top on 500 quid a week. And for next season, I think I've got everyone I wanted. So it's all about adding in a few bits of depth now. It's all about preparing for a big season. And after the couple of problems we've had this year, I've got to focus on that injury proneness again because it's something we've prided ourselves on in our previous signings. Has worked out generally, but we've had a few more injuries this year. We've not had lots of injuries, but we've had a few bigger ones this time. So we've had Marsh Brown out for 3 months. We had 6 weeks for Fernandez. Oshieng's missed a couple of weeks. Joseph we can't judge. Brunt got one in the playoff final, of course. So there are just a few more little knocks. But also, those little 1 and 2 day ones, there doesn't seem to be many of them at all, particularly if a player's not injury prone. With that all done though, I'm going to drill down into the data hub and see if there's any little micro improvements we can make next year. The same as we did to move sort of Turner from an advanced playmaker to a centre midfielder. And the biggest thing I can take away from this year, because the match engine is so much more improved, aside from the ball hitting the woodwork and the near post headers, the general match play's really improved. So all I can suggest, having done it with Dover and having done it this season here, is go and watch a couple of games on full match highlights, or at least comprehensive, because it gives you such a picture. And I know it looks like we've had great turnarounds, but off the pitch, I've probably never worked as hard, partly because of the data nerd side of me, which has got the data hub now which it can work on, but also because it's been more of a challenge this year. We've had to find solutions where we've been limited. I've put so much more effort in off the pitch, into the mentoring groups, to the training in the head coach, to the data hub here, to retraining positions in the head coach too. We've put so much more effort in than we normally do. And I think, as much as it was fortunate in the big games, we are starting to reap our rewards. We're a little bit ahead of schedule here. We will be back for a League 2 transfer special in a couple of days' time. In the meantime, we've got more action from the head coach, a save which is really hotting up now. A massive thank you for your incredible support with both. Let me know in the comments here if you agree with what I plan to do this summer. Would you be one that goes the whole hog, that spends all your budget? I think most of the regulars here know I manage the clubs very cautiously. I try and look after the money where possible. I think it's more realistic. If you did enjoy the episode and a look back at the season, please do put a thumbs up on it. Subscribe down below for daily FM22 content from 2 long-term stories. I cannot wait for the transfer special to start League 2 in a couple of days' time. I hope you're looking forward to it as well. There's a link to the head coach, a brilliant season in that up in the eye above. Our first season back in England in that save, which we're just concluding now. You can find a link to the Twitch channel and the football podcast up in the eye above too. Regular content on both of those. But a massive thank you for watching, for following along another season. And season 4 is going to be in a professional league, playing at Kenilworth Road, the home of Luton Town. I can almost get my season ticket seat and watch the games from there. I'll see you next time for the transfer special as we prepare for life in the EFL.